TV at the Supreme Court there, and now you are here. Why are you here?
Why am I here?
Yes.
Okay. No, well, the truth is, I had previous appointment to see Mr. President at 3:30. So I left the Supreme Court. I decided to come here because, knowing that President itinerary is tight, I couldn't afford to miss my appointment. Unfortunately for me, the case at the Supreme Court had just been concluded, and that was why I proceeded here straight to keep a previous appointment.
So what is your reaction to the Supreme Court judgment?
Well, I think it's refreshing and quite predictable in the sense that from the attitude of the Supreme Court last week on the issue of Bayelsa, where nothing was wrong with the candidate, the lower court did not disqualify the candidate. The issue of the qualification of the candidate was not before the Supreme Court, and yet the Supreme Court made a decision which we thought could benefit from some errors, and that could benefit from in the ways of Mr. Olanipeku, some human corrections, and the court says no. Whatever they have done was final. And if that is the tradition of the court, unless they want to be changing it every other day, I do not think that what has happened today was strange. We know that Ihedioha did not have the required number, and that is a fact that nobody has ever disputed. How anybody thought he can impose someone who did not meet the spread is only known to PDP because they are specialized in rigging, and they see rigging as their birthright. And that is why they could have the guts to be protesting to foreign embassies as if Nigeria is a colony under the supervision of some foreign powers. So I think what the Supreme Court has done today for me is just to reaffirm that they are the supreme. They are supreme, and whatever they did last time was on the basis of what was before them. They did not make mistake. There are no gaps. There are no ambiguity, and therefore there was no basis to reapproach them to sit on appeal in their own judgment. And I think they are just being consistent with the position they took in previous cases. Of course, as a party chairman, and I believe for every APC member and well-wishers, and indeed all Democrats, and all those who believe in the rule of law, who believe that imperfect as the Supreme Court can be, they remain supreme, we are happy, and we thank God that it has, the whole litigation process has come to an end, because like Justice Ogi said in that last judgment, he said there has to be an end to litigation, and I cannot agree more, so that the people of Imo State can relax, sit back, and work with their governor and ensure that all hands are on deck to fill up the gaps and ensure that Imo people witness sustainable growth and development and for the good of all.
Do we have any questions?
Yeah, just one. Sir, most pundits think that the Supreme Court judgment on clearing votes has ramifications on the electoral process going forward, particularly when they talk about the votes declared or that got into office now appear to have exceeded the number of accredited voters that in the election. As a party chairman, what would you suggest?
Those are roadside talks. Have they wait, let's clear one thing. Okay.
Given the fact that this is the present situation, what do you suggest going forward that should be done to the electoral act, which does not give room for total votes cast to exceed voters and number of voters accredited?
Well, you have made an assumption which is not supported by facts, namely that the speculations and the roadside talk by some elements in PDP suggesting that there was overvoting if you add the votes that were ignored. Those are not proven, because if they were, it was up to their counsel to produce evidence to show that this is more than this, not to go assist on television. Decisions before the matters before the court are canvassed before the court. Issues not raised in the court cannot be raised on television. So I assume that your question is informed by those uninformed, self-service speculations, and they do not merit my reaction. But what I think that we must discuss as a people that concern you and I as Nigerians who believe in democracy is that the law should be amended such that no matter what happens, when people have voted, they cannot be dismissed as April Fool. You can't say that although you have voted, and at the time you were voting, you voted in good faith, believing that the candidates before you on parade were competent to so parade themselves as candidates, and as a Nigerian voter you voted, then some other day somebody tells you that that man you voted for is not qualified, either because of error in his name or because of chieftaincy titles or whatever this could be, as to lead to disqualification. That cannot be the reason why a man that was rejected by the electorate should be imposed on the electorate. The court should not impose. If the court found that the preferred candidate don't win, for me, the only democratic option, legal option, would be to repeat the exercise. Nothing should empower the court to impose a man rejected by the people on the people. That goes to the heart of democracy, and it destroys the fabric of our democratic process. So in amending the Electoral Act, one of the things I would like to see the Parliament to do, and we are going to make representation, is that in the unlikely event that people have voted in good faith for candidates that were validly put before them by INEC, and looking at the faces of the candidate, they opted for a particular one. If anybody has issues with that person that has won, that the people preferred, the court cannot impose the person that was rejected. The very best the court can do is to order that the exercise be repeated. Because in a democracy, nobody other than the people can choose who govern them, not the courts. Not the court. For me, this is fundamental when it comes to who actually won the election. The issue of whether Muhammadu, Momo, whether they mean one and the same person, is too technical for the real electorate to bother about. When there are no two people parading themselves as to suggest that there is a case of impersonation. This system should not be detained by technicalities. At the heart of every judicial pronouncement on election must be who actually won the majority of lawful votes. And if for any reason they found themselves compelled to nullify that person, they should not be empowered to award governorship to a man rejected by the electorate. Otherwise, what is democracy about? Now, the man in Bayelsa is going to govern a state that did not mandate him, purely on technical grounds. Nations are not governed by technicalities. They are governed by people popularly elected. That is the democracy we choose. Otherwise, one day, for technical reasons, somebody will go and become the editor of your newspaper and start writing, even when it's not acceptable to the shareholders. That will be the end of the day. So, but this is not partisan issue. Let's face it, it's not partisan issue at all. It's about democracy. Just imagine yourselves here in NUJ State House Chapel, in full freedom. 2, 3, 4 of you contest for the chairmanship of this chapel, and one person won. And then for some reason, he goes to court. And the court says that the person you majority voted for, that somehow, in the eyes of the law, he has one deficiency or the other. Or even worse, that yes, the man you voted for, the face of the campaign is okay, but the vice chairman is not. Therefore, this guy is nullified. And the court then proceed to say, give it to the man who lost. Courts cannot impose losers as winners. For me, it is too fundamental. So we must take advantage of the amendment to make it impossible for anyone to be so imposed on the basis of technicalities. We can do a receipt 10 times, but at the end of the day, only the man popularly elected should govern. Otherwise, in a democracy, as they say, a people deserve the government that they have. Now you are going to have a government you don't have, you didn't vote for, superintending over your resources, and presiding over your life. So I think that is the kind of amendment I like to see. But please, it is not true that the votes of Ihedioha were more than the accredited vote. Those are PDP propaganda. Please resist believing them. Two again.
Today is your day. Today is your day.
You mentioned earlier that you are going to present an amendment. How soon are you doing that?
No, we will have to discuss, you know. We are in a democracy. What I've said to you here now, this is my opinion. We as a party have to discuss what we think the gaps are in the electoral system on the basis of the do. We must bear in mind that beside by-elections, you are going to have major general elections in 2023. So whatever needs to be done has to be done at least a year ahead of that 2023 general election, so that those participating in the process are familiar with the laws. And those administering the process, like INEC, are also familiar with the laws. But as for the date, obviously, I can't say.
Tony,